the types of production function. So there are two types of production function, namely production function in long run and short run. So each one we are going to be learning it separately so that it will be easier for you to understand. And this question you can expect for 6 marks from this chapter, both either the long run or the short run. Any one will be important. So mostly they will ask the short run or the long. If they ask the long run, they will never ask you the short run. So both are important. Just concentrate and then you can write the answer. So types of production are, in the short run production function, law of variable proportion is applicable. So in the long run production function, law of returns to scale is applicable. So two types we are having. The first is going to be about the short run production function. It has the variable proportions is applicable. But whereas in your long run, you can see it has only the returns to scale. So only this is going to be applicable. So we will just start with the law of variable propositions, that is about your short run. So the law of variable proportions, also known as the law of diminishing returns, also known as the law of returns to the factor. So the law of returns is going on diminishing. Diminishing means going down. So the production, when it is going to be increasing in the first, we have three stages in this, both in the long run and in your short run. First is going to be the increasing returns, then diminishing returns and negative returns. Whereas in your long run, you can see it increases, comes to a saturation stage, then diminishes, but never goes to negative. But whereas in your short run, you will have three stages where you can see that it increases, decreases, then goes to the negative state. So these three we are going to be studying in detail. So this law states that the unit of output can be increased by varying the quantity of one input only. So having other things in constant, we are going to be seeing what is going to be the units of output. Output is nothing but the capital. So input is nothing but your labor. So how much of labor and how much of quantity of the people we are going to be investing on that. So number of people, so much of wages you have to pay. So then the capital increases. So this law states that the unit of the output can be increased by varying the quantity of one input only. So one labor is increased, the output of the production will have variation, extra quantity. Now, for example, if you take a person is going to be doing a work, that one person doing the work, it will take the whole day also. So the output will be very, very less because he may become tired. The wages to be given will also be less. The same work, it has been divided to two people, the output will be increased. The level of output and the quantity of work is also going to be reduced. So how much of output you are going to be giving is going to be dependent on the income, of one extra unit of an input. So you will have the variation. So this you can see here, the state of technology is given and remains unchanged. So when you are going to be having an additional unit of a person or an input to be seeing, you wanted an output from that, what is the first thing you can see here is technology is going to be given and remains unchanged. Technology, 10 people's work a machine can be doing. As I told you, in the production we require the technology. So the technology keeps on changing. So as I told you, marginal rate of technical substitution. The work what one person can do, the machine can be done it within fractions of second. So 10 members work a machine is going to be doing. So you see that how many technology is being required, how many laborers are going to be required. So based on that, we will have a changes. So marginal rate of technical substitution. So how many technology is going to be required? So technology remains unchanged. So because so many laborers work when the machine is going to be doing, we get the level of output. It has an alternative. So you can see here, marginal rate of technical substitution refers to the rate at which the factors can be substituted at the marginal output without altering the level of your output. So you can see that without changing in the output, you want so much of production. With the limited resources, using the technology, you can give the output what has been expected in a faster period of time. So here you can see only physical quantities of input and output are considered and not the economic profitability in monetary terms. Here we do not measure anything in terms of money. We see only the quantity of the output. Physical input should be there. What is the quantity of physical input? Whether it is going to be the machine or it is going to be the labor. So when how many techniques are going to be used, physical quantities of input and the output, what we are going to be considering, what is the work to be allotted and how much of work is being done. So we are not talking about the profitability, about the monetary in terms. We are not talking anything about the output, what we are going to be gaining in terms of money, but we see what is the input level and the output level. So only one factor is variable. So what is that one factor variable is? Labor. It may be a labor or it might be a technical. So when the machines are repaired, you replace a machine. When the laborers are going to be unskilled, you put a skilled laborers. So this variable factors keeps changing. So you all know what is the difference between a variable factor and a fixed factor. As I told you in the first session of this class of the third chapter, I told you fixed factor, when you have 4 factors of production, you have land, labor, capital and organization. So among these 4, land is going to be a fixed factor. Fixed factor means which is not going to be movable, unchanged. So we cannot do anything on our own. The land also cannot do anything. It cannot be moved from place to place. It is going to be a fixed factor. Variable factors which takes a different shape or a change in every aspect. So variables are going to be factors which keeps on changing from time to time and place to place. So this factors like your labor and your capital keeps changing. So this is going to be the only factor which is going to be variable is your techniques. So the law of variable proportion explains that as we increase the quantity of variable input, which is combined with other fixed inputs, the marginal physical productivity of the variable input must eventually decline. So the law is going to be saying that the law of variable proportion explains that as we increase the quantity, so as we increase the quantity of a variable, so variable is going to be either the technology or the laborers input, which is combined with other fixed inputs. So what is the fixed input? Technology is going to be fixed because machine is going to be in a particular place where work is to be done. Whereas the people may be changing. It's a fixed factor. The land is fixed. The technology is going to be fixed when you are going to be getting the output. So other fixed inputs, the marginal physical productivity of the variable inputs must eventually decline. Of course, you can see the variables will always be reducing. It will keep on diminishing, but never goes to 0 in the first stage. So it keeps on changing. So here we have 3 main concepts to know about the variation, about the propositions of the variables, law of variables. So you have to know the 3 concepts called as the total product, average product and the marginal product. So what is total product? Because this formula what you learn in your second chapter, till your end of your 6th chapter, you have to by heart the formulas. So first chapter you will have total utility, marginal utility and average utility. So in the third chapter, you will have about your total product, average product and marginal product. And then you will have total cost, marginal cost and average cost. So all are going to be having the same formula. Instead of product, you will have to utility, product and your cost. So there is no change. Once you by heart the formula, having that you have to do the sum. Only if you do the sum, you can understand the concept. So when I tell you in your textbooks, you have the page numbers so that you can work it and see as I tell you. Then only you can understand. You can take a paper and book and you can do the sum. So first, before doing that, first you have to know what is total product or total physical product. The total product is nothing but the total product indicates the total volume of goods and services produced during a specified period of time, generally a year. So you can see here the total product, you can see for 1 year, what is the total output. So it is going to be indicating the total volume of the goods and services produced during a specified period of time. Generally 1 year you can take. So for 1 year, what is going to be the output? That is what we want. As we are going to be doing, you can take your own example. The whole year you are going to be studying. At the end, what is going to be the output? That is called as your total product. As I tell you, your result, what you get, that only how you study, whether you study the 365 days or you study only during the test time or only for your final exam, that is not required. But the total output what we have, that is going to be called as your total product. That is going to be the output. So here also, when you are going to be producing a commodity in the manufacturing sector, you can see the total product indicates the volume of the goods and services, how much of goods and how much of service producing during one specified period of time. Generally for 1 year, it is going to be the called as total product. So this total product is going to be having TP is equal to, TP is nothing but total product. Short form you can write TP is equal to, you have all your formulas in your textbook, go through the formulas, by heart the formulas. So TP is equal to sigma MP. Sigma MP is nothing but the sum of marginal product. So here I have not been written it, but it is in your textbook. You can just verify with your formulas. So total product is equal to sigma MP. So where TP is equal to total product and sigma MP is nothing but the sum of marginal product. So this is called as your total product. So next you can see about your average product. Average product is nothing but the average product refers to the per unit product of a variable factor. It is being calculated by dividing the total product by the total number of units of a variable factor. So you can see this total average product refers to the per unit product of a variable factor, having a variable factor. Now you can see the formula what we have been given, average product is equal to total product divided by number of units of a variable factor, or you can write TP divided by L. So TP is nothing but your total product and L is nothing but your average product. Total product is the overall outcome. So for overall outcome, the laborers is a variable factor because laborer keeps on changing. He is not satisfied with the work or the wages what he is going to be getting. He may change to the other sectors. So it is a variable factor. So how do you calculate this average product is the total product divided by your laborers. So it is going to be divided by your average, that is your variable factor. So where AP is equal to, AP means average product, and TP is nothing but your total product. L is nothing but the number of units of a variable factor. So here you can see this variable factor keeps on changing. So based on this, you have to be illustrating a statement sum so that you can understand. So you have the sums to be given in your book. You have a textbook in your hands. Page number 40, you can see the page number and you can do that sum as I tell you. So next you're going to be having about your marginal product. So marginal product can be defined as the addition to the total product by the employment of an additional unit of a factor. So you can see here the marginal product can be defined as an addition to total product by employment in an addition unit of a factor. That means when you are going to be minusing from the total product n. So I have just left out the formula here. You can just write it. MP is equal to TPN minus TPN minus 1. So when you are going to be writing, you have to be writing in the previous one marginal utility. You have to be writing it total product minus total product n minus 1 means you are going to be minusing from the previous unit. So where MP is nothing but the marginal product and total product is number of n units. How many units of total product is there? When you are going to be minusing, you get your number of items. So I can just read you one sum so that you can understand. For your average product, you can see here average product produced by 4 units of labor and capital is 17.5, which is being calculated. How are you going to be doing here is AP is equal to TP divided by L. Having that, you can write AP is equal to 70 divided by 4 because 70 is going to be your capital, and 4 is going to be your labor. So when you are going to be dividing, you get the answer as 17.5 when you're doing it in your average. The same thing when you're going to be doing it in your marginal product, you can do it as the if the total product produced by 4 units of labor and capital is 70, and the total product produced by 5 units of labor and capital is equal to 75. So calculate the marginal product as follows. Suppose they give you a sum like that, you have to be writing MP is equal to total product N minus total product N minus 1. So 75 minus your 70. In the previous one, when you are going to be minusing, you get the units. So what is the unit you're going to be getting is 5 units. So this can be written in your text as they have been given. You can see that and you can work it out. So first we'll tell about the relationship between the average product and your marginal product, how you get your changes. So in the initial stage of production, both marginal and average product goes on increasing. So firstly, you can see in the initial stages, both the marginal and the average product will increase, as it increased even in your law of diminishing marginal utility. Here also it will increase. So when it is increasing, you can see the level of output will also have changes. It keeps on increasing. Secondly, average product at its maximum is equal to marginal product. It increases and go and reaches the marginal product. It is in the same scale, it increases. So the average product increases when marginal product is greater than average product. So when it is going to be having variation is the average product increases when the marginal product is greater than the average product. So next you can see when the marginal product is lesser than the average product decreases. So marginal product, it will increase, then decrease and goes to negative. But total product and average product will not have the same. You can see it keeps on decreasing, but never goes to 0. Marginal product can be negative or 0, but average product will never become 0. Either the total product or the average product will never become to 0. Whereas marginal product at its maximum, it will go to the extreme limit and then it will diminish and goes to negative. So only these 3 concepts you have to be understanding. Average product will increase, decrease, but it will never go to 0. But whereas your marginal utility or your marginal product or your marginal cost will increase, decrease, and it will go to the negative. Whereas your total product, it will have variation, it will increase, it will come to a saturation stage, then diminishes, but never goes to negative. So this can be diagrammatically shown you. So how the curves are going to be taking its structure. So in your long run and short run, you are having 2 types you are going to be having to be studied about this law of diminishing marginal product, average product, and your total product.